This Food City 500 Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Kutt. Kutt is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to Kutt.com, that's Kutt.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, NHL, college basketball, NASCAR, and more. Sign up today using promo code RACE SGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Champs. Run your own March Madness pool and enter Champs free bracket contest for a chance to win $1,000. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs to enter today. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
It's Bristol, baby. It's the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Short track racing is on the schedule. Cannot wait for this one, buddy. This one, Cody, well, I'll get to it in a second, but how are you feeling, my friend? It's short track racing.
Did you say it's Brad Keselowski, baby? That's what I heard, Rod. That's what I heard for your intro into this. Welcome to Brad Keselowski week on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. I'm excited for it. I hope you're excited for it. Bristol Motor Speedway, baby. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Not covered in dirt this time. It's back to the old concrete. It's going to be a fun race. It's going to be a fun weekend, and I'm pumped to bet on it.
Yeah, and so that's exactly what I was going to get to as well. In fact, in that this is the first one in the spring that is not covered in dirt in 3 seasons, but it is actually the first one in at least 3 or 4 seasons that is not going to be a night race on the asphalt. So you want to talk about a handicapping nightmare in this instance. Looking at all of the past Bristol spring for the last few years, you can get kind of a good feel if you go back to the 2020 season and beyond. But there's a lot of new faces in this that have never been in the spring on this concrete on Bristol. So in this new short track package, which we just saw last week at Phoenix.
Well, they're not running the short track package route, so we won't see that. It is the intermediate package this weekend, so that's kind of a little bit. It might come up a little bit as we talk about in here, but yeah, they are running the intermediate package, which is what they did last year as well on this short track. So it's Bristol's kind of its own beast, Rod.
Yeah, and it really is. And again, like I said, we won't be doing this as a night race. This will be at 3:30 Eastern in the middle of the day. So again, as far as handicapping is concerned, you know what? And I told you guys a couple weeks ago that I quit handicapping. I'm done. I'm retiring from the game. It's been a fun run, but when I have the fastest car on the track and a lug nut screws it up, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? But yeah, I think I'm just gonna.
We get him back with the 70-1s on Raja Caruth, Rod. That's how you make up for it. To catch up on the chat too. This started way early this evening.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go live earlier, and then scheduling conflicts, so we're live now. But Preston was excited earlier. I'm sure he still is. Woo wee, let's go Bristol, baby. Haven't seen a race here in years. Excited for you guys to say who's hot and who's not. He says, let's not forget Kyle Busch winning the first race in the car tomorrow and saying in his interview in Victory Lane, I hate these things. They suck to drive.
Probably isn't that far off of thinking that now.
Yeah, I feel like he might comment that again this weekend. Keith saying, let's get some money. Cody saying, let's go. It's Bristol, baby. Best podcasters and bettors out there. I think that the best podcasters is pointed at you. I'll take the best better side of that. So that's off-season sports cards was wondering if we forgot about you.
We didn't.
We didn't, I promise. But
yeah. Look, I want to apologize real quick for that because that's on me. When I scheduled this out, we thought we were going to be able to go at 2:30, but my schedule got jumbled up, and so I forgot to get into StreamYard to tell everybody that we were going to be late. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sorry. But if you're listening
Discord,
on the podcast,
if you're in the Discord, you knew because I did update everyone there, and I probably could have logged in and changed the time because I do have that ability too. But
look at you, your fault.
Anyways.
It's Cody's fault. Blame him.
Kyle with the what's up. Steven is in the comments. I've already seen some fire paint schemes this week. His daughter hit another one last week with the Christopher Bell paint scheme.
Sure did.
So Myron saying books wised up on Brad K and Busher. They did a little, but there's still some lines hanging out there. Matt's going to be at the track Sunday. Make sure you share some photos. I believe Matt's in the Discord. So drop some photos in there. King, you better stick around, buddy. He says however many chips you have on the table, go all in on the 54. There's going to be some Ty Gibbs talk tonight, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, you definitely cannot ignore him, especially, and we'll talk about how you can't ignore him for sure. Myron talking about, after all that bitching and whining about the short track package last week, surprised they're not running it this week. I know.
The short track package is still going to be around. We got Richmond in a couple of weeks and Martinsville. It's not, the new package ain't going anywhere, so it's gonna be how it is. I think the people bitching and whining should shut the fuck up. So
late night feisty from Cody. I love it.
I'm feisty this evening, and I don't really.
He is. I love it. Steve, we'll be in touch because I feel like that's a good proposition. He's telling us if we need an SGPN photog, he's slide through Bristol.
Yeah, Steven's good photographer for sure.
Certainly is. But again, yes, it's Bristol, baby. We are super excited to break down yet another different track configuration. They're starting this season off with an absolute bang. There has been no lack of entertainment this entire season, which is so fantastic. When you go to 6 different tracks, it's in 5 different weeks, but when you're going to like a million different track configurations, and even go back to the Clash too, it's a different track configuration to start the season this way. Like we talked about several times before, the schedule makers have got it right. So kudos to you guys for making this an intriguing beginning of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we get to do a road course next week. So yeah, they're going to keep it up, which I love. A real quick piece of news, Rod, that I do think is actually a little bit important to point out this week. So RFK has withdrawn its appeal on the suspension for the Chris Buescher car. This is not really surprising in any way, shape, or form. Likely they never had any intention to actually appeal it. The reason you say you're going to appeal it, they could keep their pit crew for last weekend and then, withdraw the suspension or withdraw the appeal. And then the suspension would start this week. Gives them one more week to get the replacements ready, to have them, another week of practice, training with the car and stuff. Bristol, either way, you were going to sit out in Bristol. Instead of sitting out both Phoenix and Bristol, now you sit out Bristol and a road course, which, while pit crews are important every single week, they make less of an impact at a road course than somewhere like Phoenix. So kind of made sense, gave them one more week. But I know a lot of people are high on Buescher this week. I'm going to be talking about his teammate a lot this week. I don't think Buescher actually made either of our cards. So it's something to know. We've seen, unfortunately, Rod, that pickers affect a lot of things lately. And that could be one of them. This is going to be a track where pickers are going to come into play a ton this week, potentially more than we've seen throughout this entire season so far, which is scary when I say that.
Well, I mean, even just think about it from a logistical standpoint. On Bristol, a half a second means a ton, whereas on a road course, a half a second, you can get away with a 10-second pit stop versus a 9.5-second pit stop. But on Bristol, a half a second, that's the difference between.
Well, and I mean, as short as the track is, right, if you've got green flag pit stops, any mistakes are just day sinkers. You've got it's going to be tough to pass here. We know that. Track position extremely important. It's going to be hard to mess it up, and you go lapped really quickly. So if you get too far behind, you're going to end up laps down. It's going to cost you. So pickers will be important, which when we get into some of these guys and betting on them may scare me a little bit.
I'm scared the whole way through. I'm white knuckling even just handicapping this race, so I don't even care at this point. But we'll do that. We'll start to do that. It's been a long day. I'll figure out words as we go along. Let's do this. Let's tell you first about our merch store. We got Merch Madness going on. The big guys in basketball got March Madness. We got Merch Madness. That means you get 15% off of everything in the merch store when you use the promo code MADNESS. I'm telling you right now, there's tons of great racing gambling podcast stuff out there. You want yourself a coffee mug? It's out there. You want yourself a sweatshirt? It's out there. You want yourself a nice little tote bag? It's out there. So many good things. I actually used mine this weekend on a trip. It was fantastic. So go in there, get yours, 15% off. 15%. I know that there was questions last week. It is 15, not 50% off. Although that'd be fantastic. It is 15% off. Use that promo code MADNESS right now in our merch store. Let's tell you also about Kutt. Kutt is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US based and available in 40 states. What's peer-to-peer betting? Yeah, it's social betting, and it's a new and better way to bet. Bet directly against your friends or other users on not just sports, but politics, pop culture, and other events. So long as it's got a verifiable outcome. You can say it too. Tons of fun too with social features that give it the feel of a betting social network. Kutt offers the lowest VIG and give you fully customizable odds, which means you can create your own bets. How many places give you a chance to create your own bets? Not many. Kutt does. And Kutt handles the payment side of things, so you never have to chase down anyone for money ever again. Got social features like group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, and so much more, including rewards. Get cash back every single time you bet against your friend or other users. Cody and I are about to have a Kutt bet, I think, by the end of this. So hang tight. We'll give you one of those. And you can take it up on us too. We'll put it on the Kutt. Download Kutt today in the App Store or head over to kutt.com. That's KUTT.com. Use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. You know we love us some Underdog Fantasy, and you've loved yourself some Underdog Fantasy, which, by the way, the company's giving us yet another Underdog sign-up contest. We have to hit a goal as a company, and as a show, we have the opportunity, and thanks to you, have been leading that opportunity to have a very, very nice incentive for the show. And we'll pass that incentive on to you, and we'll figure out a way to do it. We want to give you guys and reward you guys for your involvement in this Underdog Fantasy, because Underdog Fantasy is a fantastic way to get in on NASCAR, especially if you're not in a legal gambling state where you want to just play and have some fun, picking the better thans or worse thans, the higher than, the lower than, getting 100 times your money if you hit it right. Look for those spicy chili peppers. Whew, it's so much fun. And we've been doing very well on Underdog so far this season in NASCAR. So hang with us. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. You're going to get a 100% deposit bonus match up to $100. You don't got to go all the way up to 100, but hey, listen, if it's $100 free, why don't you take it? Use that promo code RACESGPN. Sign up today with that promo code RACESGPN. Get your first deposit doubled up to $100. And you're also going to get an instant pickup special. Cannot beat it. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com. Find them in the App Store, and don't forget to register with our promo code RACESGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as that instant pickup special. Must be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Couple of things.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to our friends over at Kutt. They just retweeted that we're live on the X, or reposted, I suppose. So appreciate those guys. They're some pretty cool dudes. I've had some interaction with them, which is great. If you hear anything on this show tonight or tomorrow on the truck show, you know, Rod and I might not disagree as much this week since there's no Xfinity race. But if you want to take us up on it, you don't like our take on something, you disagree on a bet, hit us up. We'll get it listed at Kutt. We'll put our own money down, head to head. We'll take it on. Maybe Rod and I will have a battle as well. So Kutt, a lot of fun. Definitely sign up with them. And again, we can create, as long as it has a verifiable outcome, which, you know, any of these racing bets do, hit us up because they'll add it for us, and you can take us on directly, which is super cool to have. Underdog, like you said, we're doing great on that. We're leading all the shows right now. We appreciate it. If you've not signed up for Underdog, the fuck are you doing? Get signed up for Underdog. If you have a wife and she has a phone, sign her up for Underdog. Look, it's 100% deposit match up to $100. Go take advantage of that. Your children, sign them up. I mean, you know, they have to be legal age. But if they're legal age, sign them up. Get everybody signed up. Use our promo code. Help us out. We'll help you out. Talking about what we're going to do for people who use Underdog with us. So get signed up. We appreciate it. All right, Rod.
That dude that you rescued from getting hit by a bus when you grab his phone to call 911, quickly download that app and sign him up.
Yep. I'm going to my mom's house tomorrow. She's going to be signed up on Underdog. Again, just do it. You only $10 deposit. That's all you got to do. Help us out. Help yourself out. Throw that $10 into a best ball for football. Throw it into racing picks, which Underdog's already got their racing picks up for this weekend, which is beautiful. Love it. Myron likes spicy Cody. It's this is what you get at 10:40 at night.
This is Cody after hours. I should be playing like that saxophone. But yeah. All right. It is no one who's going to cut that out and you play it against me. It's Bristol. We're talking Bristol. We're talking daytime Bristol. We're talking asphalt Bristol. It is going to be the Food City 500 laps around this 0.5333 mile paved track for 266.5 miles in Bristol, Tennessee. Been in that area. It's a beautiful area, beautiful place for a racetrack. And look, I'm telling you right now, we don't have to worry about weather. I haven't seen any weather yet.
Are you sure? Because that's not what I heard.
Really? Let me see. Maybe I was looking at the wrong Tennessee weather. Because
you're looking at Bristol, Connecticut, where ESPN is.
Oh yeah, well then that's always the weather right there.
500 laps though. I did want to comment on that. That's a lot of fucking laps, Rob.
Yes, it is.
That's it's only 266 miles, but that is a lot of miles around a track like this. 500 times in a circle going that fast on such a short track. It is a lot. This is going to be a grueling race on these drivers.
Well, and I'm saying right now, like I just spent time in traffic where I was, bumper nose to bumper with other cars, and that was just on a straight freeway. I could only imagine like being actually, oh my God, if I was actually able to hit one, that would be so fantastic. Like if I could just nudge someone out of the way on the freeway, what a wonderful world this would be. I feel like that's an underrated part of this Bristol is being able to just move someone out of the way if you really are pissed off that they're in your way.
Rod needs to get out to the go-kart track more often because you can do that there.
I know. I'm telling you. Myron's saying 500 laps around this will make him dizzy. Hell yeah.
And all the G-forces are pulling and stuff. It is crazy. Entry list wise, Rod, 36 cars entered for this. So just the normal chartered cars. Your two rotating cars. Kaz Grawl is back in the 15 again this week. AJ Allmendinger, who we're actually going to talk about this evening, which I posted his paint scheme over in the Discord.
So pretty.
Oh, buddy, the Mountain Dew / Cheetos car. Oh, I really hope they make a diecast of that because it will join this. Well, if I could put this collection back here.
That's every gamer's dream right there. Cheetos and Mountain Dew.
I know and it's such a good looking car. Mountain Dew has had some of the greatest paint schemes over the years in NASCAR. So that's Steven, that could be a winner with your daughter for sure. So I've got to bet on AJ in a little bit, but those are your two rotating car drivers. Everybody else is your main 34 full-time guys.
Indeed. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, this is going to look those are going to look so nice. I saw the Cheetos and Mountain Dew and it took me back to my 20s. I was like, yep, that's about right. That was my diet back then.
There's some fire schemes. I know we haven't seen all of them yet, but like the Ty Gibbs one, he's got the Sirius XM. That looks nice. It's like white and blue. That car's gonna look totally different than it normally does. But yeah, Nick in the chat, Nick Fortune. Whoa! How did you know what I was eating tonight? Lucky guess. Steven says he was about to go there too. Come on, Steven. We know you were eating crayons. You don't have to lie.
I know. Well, and so listen, like I said about the whole night race thing, this definitely throws a wrench in a lot of what these teams had set up for the old Bristol. But I mean, the night races were still 500 laps as well. You look back at last year, 6 cautions, 53 laps. Margin of victory between Hamlin and Larson was 2.4 seconds. Average speed of that race was under 100 miles an hour. So that tells you exactly the type of grueling circumstances that these guys are going to be under. And again, we're going to be eyeballing some folks that are staples up at the top of the lists on this. So I tried to dig deeper, but it's a little difficult. But I'm glad that the books have given us a ton to work with this week.
Oh yeah, the books. We'll get into this on the other side of break because shout out to the books this week. They did us good.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we're the first to tell you if they done good, first to tell you if they done bad. So 100% behind them. All right. Well, then we will start breaking down this race. But tell you about Champs. Champs is hosting a free March Madness bracket contest for a chance to win $1,000. Plus, if you host your own March Madness pool on Champs, you're going to get an extra free entry into the bracket contest. Tiebreakers are determined by who enters first. So ready, set, go. Register now so you don't miss out. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs to enter. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/champs. All right, Cody. Well, we praise the books. Look, and here's the thing. We've been forthright and honest with you every single time. I mean, it's been 367 episodes at this point. I mean,
don't short us 100 episodes. Jeez, Rob.
God, has it been 367? Where did the time go?
Man, it goes quick.
Watching my kid graduate high school already. It's just like, where did it go? No, but we've told you that anytime we're going to be completely honest with you in the books, because the only way that everybody gets better as a community is if we tell the truth. So books, the weeks that you're slipping, we're going to let you know. The books that the weeks that you're doing well, we'll let you know. This week, you done well. You done pat yourself on the back, bookmakers.
For a lot of things. Man, they were up early. We had outrights on Monday this week, Rod. That's a beautiful thing. FanDuel actually has odds up as we're recording this. That's like very noteworthy because they're usually super slow. So shout out to that. There's a shit ton of great matchups this week. I've not gotten into the matchup game too much lately. I got a lot of matchups on the card tonight because
you don't say.
Sorry, Rod. I think I took them all because I noticed you don't have any.
No.
But I just kept finding matchups I liked and I couldn't stop. There's a lot of bets on my side of the card tonight because, dude, there's just great options. There's a lot of good stuff out there. There's some really good numbers on some people. And yeah, the selection's great. You know, the last couple of weeks we haven't had top 10s when we were recorded on Tuesday. Even if we'd have been able to go this afternoon, top 10s were already out. It was beautiful. So we'll give an A to the books. I'm not going to say A+ just yet, but I'm a tough guy to get a grade from, but I'll give the books an A this week. So shout out to them. They've done a great job.
Well, that's funny because I was going to give them a B because my rubric is a much tougher than yours. Because while it was great, while it was fantastic to have all that stuff, you always want more. So, still a solid B. Solid B, you guys. Just
I'll give him an A-. I'm still a little bit nicer than you.
Yeah. Whoa. What? we probably should get in the bets because this is already a Freaky Friday and it's only a Tuesday. So,
all right, Rod. Where to start? Let's go to the matchup game. I said that like I didn't know where I was going to start. But we actually have the bets listed in order that we're going to go on the doc. So I do know where I was going to start. I'm going to start. Let's see. I'm scrolling back up through the comments. King, I hope you're still listening. Put those chips in on the 54 car. Give me Tyrone Gibbs over Kyle Busch, -110 over on Superbook. And then I'm also going to take Ross Chastain over Kyle Busch, -110 on Caesars. A little bit of a fade Kyle Busch this week. Look, he's going to be in the truck race. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. That might be a different story. But in the Cup Series, it's not been great for Mr. Busch here as of late, Rod. So you go back and you look at what Kyle Busch has done here. You know, he had we're going to take out, you know, he had third place at Atlanta. He had a second place at the Clash. I get those, but one's a super speedway. The Clash is really hard to compare to anything else and is not, for RCR, has not been indicative of the rest of their short track package. I know that both those guys were good on the Clash, but I'm kind of throwing that out. You go back to Phoenix last week, 22nd place, absolutely struggled all day. I mean, they made note of it multiple times on the broadcast. He was not good. 26th at Vegas, he was really bad there. So you've got a little bit of, you know, the short track element of things with Phoenix, not good. You've also got the intermediate package, which is what we're running this week, not good. 2 races, that's a small sample size. I get that part. But go back to last season, he was 20th place here. So to note, let's go back and look at this as well. So in the next gen car, we had the 2 Bristol dirt races in the spring. Those replace the concrete races. So the only sample size we have for Bristol in the new car is the 2 fall races, which are night races as well. A little different, but you can still look at those for sure. But it's not 4 races like we've seen kind of with Phoenix. It's only 2 races to look back on. So 20th last season, 34th in 2022. I'm going to put an asterisk on that. He was top 10 in both stages, and then his engine expired. That was kind of one of his last few races with JGR when we were wondering if they were just giving him shit cars or what was going on there. So I will put an asterisk on there, but been a far cry from how good he's been in the past here. Kyle Busch, it's a very short list at the top of this track. Darrell Waltrip has like 12 wins. Dale Earnhardt has 10. I think Yarborough and a couple other guys have 9. Kyle Busch has 8 wins. A lot of fucking wins on this track. Really good here in the past. But, Rod, that's the past. That's the old car. I don't know that that's translating to the new car. I don't think that's translating to the new team. RCR has struggled overall on the short track package, and RCR has struggled just in general as this season. It's been pretty rough. Right now, Kyle, again, showed up at the Clash in the, he was in the photo finish at Atlanta, but you look at the two normal quote-unquote tracks we've had, not been good for Kyle Busch, so I'm definitely fading him a little bit. Ty Gibbs, very much the opposite, right? 3rd place last week at Phoenix, career best, looks stellar. He led more than 50 laps in the race, had a great day. 5th place at Vegas the week before, that was great as well. Go back to last season, Rod, he finished 5th here at Bristol already. He had a 9th place at Richmond as well. His last Xfinity Series race here, he got the pole, led 86 laps, ended up getting in some struggles, and I think he ended up in a wreck and ended up with the DNF, but was running really good prior to that. So I like Gibbs over Busch, -110. Then for Ross Chastain, guy has kind of been on it lately, right? 6th place at Phoenix last week, 4th place at Vegas. He won Phoenix to end the season last year. He's been on a roll. 6th place at Bristol last season, 6th place at Bristol in 2022. Not a great finish for him in 2023. They had some issues there, but I've got faith in Chastain. We've seen how good he's looked really good on the intermediates the last year and a half here. They're using that intermediate package. I've got faith in him. Got a lot of faith in Ty Gibbs. Going to be talking about him more later. But I like both these guys over Kyle Busch. This is a little bit of, I think Kyle Busch is getting some respect from the books because his history here so freaking good. You can't take that away from him, but it's been a different story lately. RCR seems to be struggling. He seems to be struggling. He's not had great finishes in the 2 chances he's had here in the next-gen car. So I'm going to continue to fade Kyle Busch this weekend. Ty Gibbs on Superbook over him, -110. Ross Chastain on Caesars over him, -110.
Yeah, and what sucks is that you do look at those stats. Him and his brother are pretty much at the top of all the Bristol top 10s, top 5s. All of the measurable stats that you can want, Kyle Busch is there. But then
I think he's got 15 top 5s and 35 starts. Very impressive, but
yeah.
Yeah.
The intangibles of just looking at what he's doing right now is not worth it. And again, you want to jump into that. And that's why you look at that and you go, oh man, Kyle Busch. Yeah, definitely take the top, take the guy. No, you can't, because he's not doing that well lately. Nick Fortune, got to ask. Ross Chastain, top 5, +270.
It's not a bad number by any means. I'm going to make a case for a different bet on Chastain here in a few.
Yeah.
It's a good number. If you think it's going to be his week, it's a good number. And he also wants to know Toyota manufacturer to win the race. Rod, 3 of the outrights between the 2 of us are Toyotas. They were the first manufacturer last week, the first manufacturer in NASCAR history to have 5 different drivers lead 50 or more laps.
Ooh.
To go back to my comment earlier about shut the fuck up about it being a bad race, Rod. 5 different drivers from one manufacturer led more than 50 laps each. Okay. Anyways, but Toyotas look good in the intermediate package in general, and they looked really good last week at Phoenix. So, but Chevys have looked good here in the past. Ford has looked good here in the past. I don't know. I don't think either of us are on a manufacturer bet this week, just because you really can make a case for all 3. Nobody's number sticks out a lot, but we do have a fair amount of Toyota love in this episode if that's the way you want to lean.
Yeah. And it's short track racing. One wreck can take out so many good drivers, and not like take them out of the race, because you can still patch together a car and get it across, but at least it'll injure them enough to take them out. So One driver that I'm hoping to not have injured is Carson Hocevar. Like Cody said earlier, we got top 10 odds on these drivers. So Carson Hocevar, 3-1 for plus 300 for a top 10. I mean, you got to consider the top 10 numbers, especially at the top, are not really all that fantastic. So when you get a plus 300, then you got to jump on it, especially on a guy like Carson Hocevar, who in the 42 car last year, right, filling in for Noah Gragson when Noah Gragson was relieved of his duties in that 42 car, Carson Hocevar stepped in. He jumped in and got an 11th place on Bristol. Not easy. And it wasn't as if he lucked into it. No, he had speed from the get-go. He started 16th and finished 11th in that race. Not a bad day for a guy who was just making his 4th overall start in the 2023 season in the Cup Series. So you got to hand him that. I mean, he hung with the big boys. Now he's in that Spire car, which, by the way, again, while he hasn't had a top 10 finish yet this season in this Spire car, I will tell you that of his races so far, of the 4 races in Daytona, now again, I know it's super speedway. I understand that it's not the same, but he spent 80% of the laps inside the top 15. And in a race like Daytona, if you're in the top 15, you can be in the top 10. His high position was 9th place in that race. 7th place in Atlanta was his high position. He only spent 15% of those laps inside of the top 5, but whatever. I'm going to toss that out because it's a super speedway and it doesn't back my argument. So who cares? But you look at 2 weeks ago in Vegas, 64% of the laps inside of the top 15. His high position in that one was 2nd, right? I mean, obviously pit strategy played a little bit of a part in that, but still he finished 15th. Not too far outside of the top 5. And if things would have shaken up, if a caution would have fallen, something would have happened, he could have been able to pit, keep that track position, and been in a really good position. He was gambling, and that team was gambling, and they almost worked. And then last week, his high position was 3rd place. Of course, he only spent 36.2 times laps in the top 15. But again, I'm still saying that Carson Hocevar has a very good shot at being a top 10 driver this week, especially since he took that 42 car, which, let's face it, was not the same. Because that was the point too, where they hadn't announced yet that they were going to Toyota, but everybody kind of knew something was wrong with these Legacy Motor Club cars and this team, and that why weren't they performing the way they should be? And so, yeah, I mean,
we actually, because that would have been the fall race, so we would have known by then.
That was the fall race,
and,
So
they were not getting the Chevy support at that point.
No.
Honestly, Rod, I had this one in here. The number got so nuked. He was 7-1 when he opened for the top 10, and I was so excited. And then it got nuked down to 3-1, and I was like, "Fuck!" And I took it off. But I'm glad you kept it on because I still, even at 3-1, it's a little harder to swallow. But if you didn't know it was at 7-1, it feels a lot better for sure. But he's definitely a guy who can do it. We've talked about how impressive he's been. Corey LaJoie led quite a few laps last season on a pit strategy and had some time spent in the top 10 where they cycled up there. Hocevar has shown to be very good so far this season. We've seen him doing well. He did well here last year in that legacy car that, again, was kind of in limbo, right, in that lame duck time frame of manufacturers. So I think he's definitely a guy that can get it done. So I do like the bet.
Who knew? I mean, and look, Corey LaJoie, who knew what would have happened if he wouldn't have wrecked? You know, that's
right. Yeah, exactly. He did it. Yeah, he ended up getting wrecked and didn't get as good of a finish, but he was running really good, and that makes the case for Spire. Spire is even stronger now, as we've kind of seen already so far this season. Hocevar has been outrunning LaJoie even to a degree, which is sad for me, but it's been good to see for Hocevar at least.
That picture's sitting there. Hold on, one more break. We got to step away for real quick, and then we'll get to your next bet.
There's your picture,
and we cover them. Let's tell you about Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets, a revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Cody, now you may proceed to your next bet. Apologies for the holdup.
That's all right. Hey, shout out to Hall of Fame Bets. They are a great. We need to get some NASCAR over there. But that's all right. They're good for a lot of other sports and really a great thing to use. So get on that. All right, Rod. Next up for me, we're going to the first of multiple Brad Keselowski segments of this show. I'm all over the number 6 train this week. All over the bread man, Brad Keselowski.
Do you think that this calls for a Brad Keselowski corner?
Okay, let's go.
Okay, that's just the beginning of it. Go ahead.
I love it. All right, welcome to the first of part 1 of Brad Keselowski's corner for this evening. I'm going to take him in a matchup over Joey Logano, Rod, -110 over on Superbook. Also going to take his top 5 number, +200. I think that was on Caesars, but I forgot to write that down. So we're just going to go with that. But +200 for Keselowski to be in the top 5. Keselowski has been so good here, and he's coming off of some decent finishes. So finished 4th place last week at Phoenix, a good solid run. He was 8th place here in the fall, Rod. You go back to 2022, he ends up in 13th place, but he was much more impressive than 13th place. He led 109 laps in this race in 2022, was on his way to winning the race, and the tire blew. And I don't remember if he hit the wall or if just the tire blew, but either way, had to make the pit stop. Fights back for 13th. Very impressive after that happens. Ends up in victory lane as a car owner, of course, over on with Chris Buescher picking up that win. But he was the best car that day. He was so freaking good that day. Ryan over at iFantasy Race, again, make sure you're going to check those guys out because they do a lot of good stuff over there. But he did have he had tweeted this out, and I just wanted to read what he tweeted out because it's always better in his words. So Brad Keselowski, super elite performer at Bristol, who will be tough to beat at Thunder Valley. Keselowski's a 3-time winner since the summer of 2019, minus the fall in 2020 where he lost power steering and a misleading result in 22 where he had a flat tire while leading, as I mentioned. 1 win, 4.5 average finish. Again, I know the car has changed. I know we just made the case against Kyle Buescher for that. A lot of that stuff was in Penske. I understand that, but he still looked good here in the RFK cars a couple of times that we've been here, and he's done really well. So when it comes to Joey Logano, Rod, it's not been good for Joey Logano, just at all. I think that what do you have, a 9th place finish at Las Vegas, I think. But outside of that, 3 finishes worse than 28 this year. Again, there's some super speedways in there. I get that, but the momentum factor of that, he's not been doing well. Things have been really rough for him. Last season, Joey Logano, 34th place here, Rod. 2022 and the other start here in the next gen car, 27th. It's been 2 very poor outings for Joey Logano at Bristol in the new car. Things not going his way early on here. It'll be interesting to see what the strategy is. Do they play it safer and try and point their way back into the playoffs here, being 30th in points, or do they go all out and gamble, which Paul Wolf is known as a gambling man? Maybe they try and take a wild swing shot and shoot for a win and go for that. But in a head-to-head match, I like that because if they miss on that shot to win, probably not going to be a great result. So all over Keselowski. Again, I'm going to be talking about him again here in a few minutes. Love him this weekend. So I love him over Joey, -110. I think he's going to be in the top 10 at the end of the day. I think he's going to be in the top 10 as well. But the top 5 specifically, the bet I'm looking at +200.
King, echoing your thoughts, he take Cosgralla over Logano at this point. He's been that bad. I feel bad for Joey. I really do.
The Ty Gibbs fan coming out there. I know that the Ty and Joey, a little bit of a riff there. But, yeah, it's just not been good for Joey. I mean, he just keeps being in the wrong place at the wrong time. You go back and you look last week, yeah, there was a wreck, but before the wreck, Corey LaJoie was beating him, and he was going a lap down just organically. Then he gets caught up in the wreck, but you're going to get caught up in the wrecks if you're back in those positions. Ask Austin Dillon about that, right? he's wrecked multiple times early in races because didn't qualify well, starting bad, whatever the case is. But yeah, it's been rough in the Logano camp. And until we see that turn out again, hardest driver in the garage to predict. So I try not to very often, but I like this matchup too much to pass up on it. And until we see him turn it around, which we will, and we talked about that a little bit on the recap show, don't hit the panic button if you're a Logano fan. But until we see it turn around, I'm good with fading him this week.
And I don't think you're necessarily predicting Joey Logano as much as you're predicting Keselowski and sort of letting
Logano
do what he's going to do.
Logano could finish second place, but since Brad Keselowski's going to win the race, well, he's going to beat him. So
Exactly. All right. So a name I don't necessarily say that much on this show, and that's Michael McDowell. And since we have top 10 odds, I'm going to take a stab at Michael McDowell as a top 10 car on this track in particular. And honestly, listen, if you look back at what he's done in 3 of the last 4 races, okay, on Bristol, and this isn't counting the dirt. So in 2020, in the fall, he had a 10th place finish. Well, let's even go back to the spring. 14th place finish in the spring, right? That's not a top 10, but a 14th place finish for the 34 car might as well be a top 10 finish in that instance. But 14th in the spring, 10th in the fall of 2020. 24th in the spring or in the fall of 2021, not that great. But then an 11th and a 6th place finish on top of that. I know it's only 2 top 10s in that span. I get it. I understand. But for Michael McDowell, he's actually been very impressive this season. Look, on super speedways, we expect him to be decent, right? He started second at Daytona. Unfortunately, he finished 36th in that one. Just didn't have this, missed the setup altogether. So, but super speedway, who cares, right? We throw that out. First in Atlanta, he started on the pole. Speed in that car. Doesn't matter where you're at. Speed on the pole, right? 8th place finish, pretty good finish for him there. 12th place in Las Vegas, just outside of the top 10, right? I mean, this is the first cookie cutter track that we've got, the first real track that we're at, and he starts just outside of the top 12, the top 10. He led 4 laps in that one, so a good opportunity for him to, but unfortunately he finished 25th. So not necessarily a great finish there. But last week, right, you turn it all around. You go to Phoenix, a nice opportunity to get a good day. Starts 9th, finishes 8th. So he's been in the mix of all these races so far. And the 34 car is not one that we necessarily always say, other than super speedways and maybe the occasional outlier race here and there, that he's going to be good at. Now, we don't bring him up for race wins on a weekly basis, but a top 10 finish for Michael McDowell. This team is actually on kind of a little bit of a roll for them as far as 2 8th place finishes on the season. They don't normally get on the podium that much. You look back at what he did here in 2023 as far as total speed rankings from our friends over there at iFantasy Race as well. Michael McDowell, 4th in total speed rankings in the entire race in that one. He was 6th between laps 1 and 125, 6th between 125 and 250, 7th and 6th, literally just right there all the way through. Tied with Kyle Larson at 4th for that as well. You want to know what he did for total speed rankings in 2023? He was 5th on that list underneath guys like Bell, Hamlin, Gibbs, Larson. So in 2023, Michael McDowell was fast on this track. And where did that land him? Inside of the top 10 in 8th place. So I'm telling you right now, in 6th place, rather. Sorry, I cheated him a couple of spots. But Michael McDowell, like I said, not a name I bring up very often, but I'm pretty confident in this 34 team to be able to get a top 10 finish, and especially at the price you're getting him at plus 195 over there on Caesars, almost 2-1. I'll definitely take a little piece of that.
Yeah, hard to argue with it. They've looked impressive over at front row. Obviously, they announced that, upgraded deal with Ford, and with being a partner with Team Penske, it seems to be paying off so far. So hard to argue too much on McDowell there. I'm going to jump over to the aforementioned AJ Allmendinger, Rod. But Derek Kraus has looked so bad in that 16 car. How could you possibly bet on AJ Allmendinger? This is a week, Rod, where you're going to see what a difference in a driver makes, because there is a massive difference in AJ Allmendinger and Derek Kraus. I think that you're going to see that, and it's going to be very noticeable this week. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. We had the fun little bet on Haley versus Kraus. I was on the Haley side of things. If you get that this week, I would not even consider taking the Haley side of things. AJ Allmendinger is a much better driver. I understand the equipment has definitely showed that it's been down, but it's also been Voldemort and Derek Krause in it most weeks. So hard to measure when you have bad drivers in these cars. Again, you're going to see the difference this week with AJ Allmendinger. So I'm going to take AJ Allmendinger. He's paired up with a Richard Childress racing car in Austin Dillon. I'm going to take AJ over Dillon, -110 over on Superbook. And what a far cry from being matched up against an RFK car to being matched up against an RCR car. Interesting there. What difference the books think that a driver makes, I guess, as well. Also, I'm going to take a stab at my first top 10 here, Rod. AJ Allmendinger +550 to finish inside of the top 10 over on Bet365. I love that. So you go back and you look here. AJ Allmendinger, 30th place last season. Things didn't quite go his way. Shit'll happen. That's how it goes sometimes. But Rod, 2022 in the next gen car, 7th place. He's +550 to finish in the top 10. 7th place, 2022. So he has done it 50% of the time in the next gen car at this track. Also in 2022, Rod, he's only part-time driving the 16 car some of the time. And that's when he had the success. So there is that. AJ Allmendinger, 2 for 2 in finishing better than Austin Dillon in the next gen car at Bristol. Dillon was 31st in 2022, or no, he was 31st last year where Dinger beat him, and then 17th in 2022 when Dinger had the 7th place. So got him in both of them. You go back to Vegas last week, not a good run for Dillon there. He's got 3 finishes worse than 22nd. I believe he's 32nd in the points right now. Things not looking good for Dillon either. It's been a struggle over in the RCR camp, rather. There's a lot of R teams. You got RFK, RCR, RWR, a lot of R teams, Rod. But you go back and look at what AJ Allmendinger did last season. I took out the super speedways and road courses because if you added those numbers, it would be way more inflated and would look even better. But they're not comparable to this. So I took them out, even though he was very good on those. He's super good on those and had a lot of, but he had 6 top 10 finishes in all of the other races. So you're taking out a good solid, 12 races between the road courses and the super speedways. And he still had 6 top 10 finishes throughout the season. He's a veteran guy who knows what he's doing. He's been on this track a million times. You got to think 500 laps. We're going to talk about some young guys like Ty Gibbs and stuff where we think the talent can make a difference. But 500 laps, there's going to be guys that are going to make mistakes. And guys like AJ Allmendinger can kind of work their way forward a little bit and work their way forward a little bit, work their way forward a little bit, maybe a little strategy, get inside that top 10. If he can get inside the top 10, he can hold on to the top 10 finish. So I think AJ Allmendinger going to get inside the top 10. And I believe it was Steve Letarte that said if there was a piano falling out of the sky, don't stand next to Austin Dillon because it's going to hit him. And I'm going to go with Theory in this matchup because Austin Dillon just can't seem to catch a break. I believe I saw the over-under on Austin Dillon first wreck was set at 6.5 laps, Rod. And I'd probably take the under on that. I did not actually see that, but it would be a great option.
That's a good cut
because it is a good cut bet. I would take the under on that. Because rough. But so AJ Allmendinger over Austin Dillon -110. That's over on Superbook. AJ Allmendinger top 10 plus 550. As Myron says, boom. Love it.
I know. And the thing with me, I'm a bleeding AJ Hart. I'm AJ Hart. My
AJ
heart belongs to AJ.
He calls him AJ Hart because he loves him that much.
Sorry. I mean, AJ's like, what this guy even talking about? Yeah. I'm a bleeding heart AJ Allmendinger fan.
Why is the sheriff at your door, Rod? Is that a restraining order?
Did the knock come through? That's weird. No, I'm a bleeding heart AJ Allmendinger fan, so I can't even argue with you on this. And like you said, Cody, AJ Allmendinger is one of those guys where as long as he doesn't get into trouble, 1, and 2, as long as he can keep a cool head, Bristol's a little difficult to do it, but as long as he could do it, a top 10 finish is not out of the realm of possibility for you. And then again, Dillon, you already laid the case out. I don't even need to do that again. So, all right. My next bet is a top 5 bet. I'm delving into the top 5 market here. I'm going to take young Christopher Bell. This is going to be a name that everybody's going to be on. And a lot of people will probably be on him to win this race if they're really thinking about it. The only reason that I'm not going with them as a race winner, again, I'm kind of weighing the fact that this is a day race versus a night race. I know that it doesn't make a whole lot of difference in short track racing, but there's still grip levels. There's still tire fall off. There's still all kinds of things that can jump up and get you when it's a little bit hotter in Tennessee. And I looked up the weather. There's no rain, but it's supposed to be 69 degrees. So, again, in the fall, it's hotter in Tennessee. Believe it or not, it's a lot more muggy in Tennessee and than it is in the spring. So there's a lot of different factors that I'm taking into. When you look at what he did, though, last fall at Bristol, Christopher Bell led 187 laps. The dude won stage 1. The dude won stage 2. Unfortunately, a pit strategy call or a pit mistake took him back into the field toward the end of it, but he battled his way all the way up to a third place finish after falling back in the pack too. So who knows what would have happened had he not had that problem, had he not been kind of shuffled back into the mix. You look at overall speed rankings for that race, Christopher Bell, first in the first 125 laps, second in those second 125 laps, sixth and then third. He finished third, like I said, but first overall. Green flag speed, oh, guess what? He was the fastest car on the track, 119.223. Faster even than the race winner, Denny Hamlin, at 119.125. So, King says, well, hopefully we'll be there so there's no rain. Hopefully there's no rain. Right now, like I said, the weather doesn't call for rain, which is all in our favor. But like I said, for Christopher Bell, all I'm asking for is a top 5 because, listen, his top 5 number is at -120 for good reason. But as we've stated time and time again, if this is your first time listening to this show and you say, well, -120, that actually does sound like a pretty good price. Well, that's probably because you listen to another sport. And that's all you ever get is minus odds. Here in NASCAR, -120 seems like you're eating a whole lot of juice. But you're not. I mean, technically, you're kind of not, even though we do have a 3-1 for a top 10. We hit 14 and 30 and 70, 80 to 1s. But a -120 will get you a nice little profit, especially on a guy who I think is a lock for a top 5 finish in this race. Like I laid out, the dude's been fast. He was the fastest on the track. He was the fastest in green flag, a third place finish, won both stages. I would have been very curious to see what would happen last fall had he been able to hang on to that. And if you go back to total speed rankings in 2022, Christopher Bell was the fastest on the track, 9th place in 2021 here at Bristol. So Bell always good on this track. What has he done lately on this track as well? Well, in 5 overall starts, he's got 2 top 5 finishes, 3 top 10 finishes, 4th and a 3rd place to round out. He led 143 laps in the fall of 2022. Dude can get around Bristol. I think he can do a top 5 finish again this year.
Yeah, I like it. Christopher Bell, he's kind of put his name out there as he's one of the top tier drivers in this series. He's a guy that he's made an impression from his Netflix comments of, oh, you didn't expect me to be here, did you? Or in whatever he said. And look, he shows up early, wins a race here this season already. He's definitely one of these young guns that we're going to be talking about a lot for years to come. He's solid here the last couple of seasons. So it's a little juiced up, right? -120, but you want to pay the juice if you lose. So hard to argue with that. I'm going to go with a couple more longer shots that I like taking some stabs at. I do feel like there's a solid mix of good bets across the board that are more even money, and then some really good opportunities to take some longer shots here. So I do like that. I'm going to go to the SHR camp with a couple guys over there. Noah Gragson, Rod, he has just impressed me so freaking much this season so far. Small size again, really, there's only 2 races to look at this season, in my opinion. The super speedways you got to throw out a little bit, but he's been impressive in the couple races we've seen, Rod. So they've got his top 10 at Bet365 plus 275 to be the top finishing Ford at 16 to 1 over on Caesars, which I really like as well. So we'll start with Noah Gragson here. 12th place at Phoenix last week. Really, he was 10th until 5-6 laps to go. The tires were given out on him and he slipped back a couple spots, ends up in 12th, but he was the top 10 car throughout the entire day. 6th place at Vegas the week before. So again, this is kind of the perfect look and glimpse at a short track and an intermediate track where you're getting the intermediate package woven into this thing. So he's shown it in both things so far. He would be top 15 in the points if he didn't get that penalty earlier on this season. So he would be a playoff guy as of right now if they didn't have that penalty. No Cup Series starts for Noah Gragson at Bristol here. So we don't have any stats to look back as far as that goes. But last time he was on this track, 2022 in the Xfinity Series, Rod, won the race. So Gragson, again, you can look back at last season, you can be like, wow, it was so disappointing and things didn't go his way, and Legacy was switching from Chevy to Toyota at the end of the year, but then Carson Hocevar comes in the car and does really well. So what did that say about Gragson? None of that matters. Gragson took his time away, he refocused, and he has come back in a completely different person this season. He's out there to show everybody how talented he is. He's out there to show everybody that he can do this, that he deserves a ride like this. And again, it's early. I don't want to overreact by any means, but are we starting to see a little bit of SHR? Maybe they are kind of getting some stuff together. It's possible. So love him for the top 10 bet. And then as far as the top 4 bet goes, kind of breaking this down, neither of us are going to talk about Ryan Blaney here. He's the favorite in the Ford camp. He's always a threat. Brad Keselowski's next. I'm invested in him a lot of ways, obviously. Spoiler alert, he's going to be on my list to win here in a minute, to nobody's surprise, I don't think, for what I've said about him. So I'm covered there. If he gets the top finishing Ford, fine. I'm probably cashing some of these other bets. I don't mind that. Chris Buescher, he's kind of the one guy that could get me as well here. Logano, we talked about earlier, in full fade mode of him right now. Then the odds kind of level out here with Gragson. You've got McDowell, we made a case for. I would still take Gragson in that as far as the head-to-head. You've got Chase Briscoe there as well. I still am liking Gragson a little bit more. Then the odds fall off. Barry, Cindric, I don't know. So, got a couple people in the comments here. Trial Life, oh man, late night. Yes, we are a little later than normal. I am notorious saying, hey, what's up?
That's my brother, by the way.
Oh,
what's up,
hey.
brother?
What's up, Rod's brother? How's it going? And Travel Life, how is Buescher not the most deserving? Again, he's just Buescher is the one that scares me on this list the most of anyone, because I don't have any other coverage on him, and he's been good here. Neither of us have any bets on him tonight just because the numbers aren't there. If you're picking between him and Keselowski, I took the Keselowski side of things. There was the pit crew deal where he's going to be missing the pit crew members. Again, that could play into things. But as far as the top 4 goes, I think Gragson, Blaney, you're a little bit scared of, obviously. I'm covered on Keselowski. I'm scared of Buescher. But after that, I think Noah Gragson is kind of the next best guy there. So at 16-1 odds, I think that's worth a look at. Another guy I'm looking at in the SHR camp, Rod, again, I packed all these boxes because there's so many freaking good bets this week. Ryan Preece, top 10, plus 650. Rod, I think that the books forgot this week that Ryan Preece races for SHR. I'm going to have another bet on Preece here in a few minutes, but I'm just a little bit shocked on why his number is so far. I mean, plus 650, he's farther than AJ Allmendinger is in, a colleague car, in an SHR car, who doesn't really make a ton of sense. Rod, he finished 12th place in this race last year, or not in this race, but in the Bristol Concrete race. He finished in 12th place last season, and he's plus 650 for a top 10. I mean, really, I don't need to make much more of a case than that. He had a 5th place finish at Richmond last season. He led 121 laps at Martinsville last season, so if he gets out front on these short tracks, again, Martinsville not a direct comparison to Bristol, obviously, in any way, shape, or form. And actually, it looks like we're updating that bet because Matt Jones in the comments here saying he's plus 800 on Bet365, so even better. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it. He didn't race here in 2022 when he was not in the Cup Series, but a 17th place in 21 in JTG. Again, the old car, but even more of a case because JTG not good in the old car by any means. He had a 9th place in JTG in 2020, another 12th with them in 2020, 18th and 25th in his first 2 starts here in JTG equipment. Again, that equipment not as good as the SHR equipment. I'm not saying SHR is what they used to be, but they've not looked so bad through these first 2 races of normal tracks that we've had. So I think that Buescher or Preece rather I got off on the Buescher train now with getting distracted there, but Preece at 8-1 to be the top 4. And if you can only get plus 650, I would take that as well. But 8-1 if you have Bet365, absolutely love that for Ryan Preece. I think he's being slept on. So Gragson top 10 plus 275, top Ford 16-1, Ryan Preece top 10 at 8-1.
So just so you know, the reason Cody packs these boxes now is that he gets paid by the minute. So he
I wish that was the case.
I know, right?
We could make these episodes 30 minutes or an hour. We get paid the same, which is we're still here for an hour. So that shows you how much we love it.
I love it. And full disclosure too, Cody got to the dock first. So he grabbed Greg's.
And I loaded up, and I'm sorry, Rod. I took a lot of the bets this week, but like I said, so many good bets this week. I just couldn't help myself. I just kept adding things, and here we are.
It's all right. Cody just copy and pastes all the odds and puts it in the doc and goes, all right, good luck, guy.
I'll take everything.
It's all you. And then my brother saying, Cody riding high on SHR tonight. He's not high. Well, listen, because your driver retired from SHR. My brother's favorite driver is Kevin Harvick.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well, Kevin Harvick would be much better to bet on.
Oh my God, on this track?
Race, but
yes, please.
I missed him so much last week at Phoenix. But
all of our pocketbooks did too, for that matter. All right, so I'm going to take a driver from my favorite team, and Hendrick Motorsports, which I don't know, isn't my favorite team anymore.
I was going to say, are they your favorite team?
Not
I didn't
anymore.
really know this.
No, they used to be my favorite team.
Well, true, I guess. The Jimmy Johnson guy was all right.
Yeah, he's touch good. He was touch good. But I'm going to take Kyle Larson as a top 3 driver, plus 140 for plus 140. You know, we talked about Bell top 5 at minus 120. I would think that Larson as a top 3 car would be a minus money proposition, but you're getting it about plus 140. And I say that not because I'm like 1000% solid that Kyle Larson will finish top 3, because we have seen some very craziness out of Kyle Larson. You want me to read his finishes? Well, you don't, but I'm going to anyways. 11th at Daytona, 32nd in Atlanta. It goes from almost worst to first by winning Las Vegas. And you think, oh, Kyle Larson is back, baby. Let's go. He's locked into the playoffs, and and he leads 181 laps. I know.
When do we get to start having that conversation, Rod? We're 4 for 4 with new winners.
Yeah, well, we're not gonna. I mean, I don't think we're gonna be locked into any at all. 181 laps he leads, only to turn around and have a just junk day at Phoenix and finish 14th. So, I mean, plus 140 seems about right. So you got to jump on this as it is. But if you look at what he's done at Bristol, and I understand we have to have something to go off of, guys. I know that this has been night races for these, but you got to go off of something, right? So last year in the night race here, he finished second. The year before that, he finished 5th. I know it's not a 3rd place finish, but still, he led 34 laps in that. And then he won in 2021, 6th place in 2019, 19th in 2019. Because that doesn't support my theory, I'm throwing it out. But before that, a 2nd place and a 2nd place finish before that as well. This guy has led 870 laps in his 15 starts. He has led at least 1 lap in the last 4. And if you go back all the way to 2020 or 2017, rather, hasn't led a lap in at least one of those races. So Kyle Larson has been good on this. So my argument stands as this. All right. And then you look at all of the other measurable stats. He was tied with Michael McDowell, like I said earlier, in total speed rankings in 2023. And then in green flag speed, he was 4th in 2023 as well. He turned 118.979 in green flag. God, I love Ryan. He makes me sound so smart. But I'm telling you, I understand. And if you want to stay away from this because it's Kyle Larson and he's been sucking this year other than his win, I get it. But there's just something to be said about Kyle Larson. Because if you don't bet on him and he blows up, you're mad at yourself for missing out that week. And then again, if you don't bet on him and he tanks, then you're like, oh, okay, well, at least I didn't have anything on him. But I almost feel like you want to be on the side where if he goes off and you don't have it, you're going to feel worse. So Kyle Larson still plus money for a top 3 finish in this one, plus 140. I'll take it, even though it's yicky.
It's not that yicky. And to say he's been crap all season, I mean, really, it's only 2 races we had to look at. He was really good in one, sucked in the other one. I'm interested to see how Hendrick rebounds after Phoenix. I think they were trying some things. I think they were getting different, but they were bad. So there is that part of things. But he's been very good here in the past. Again, this is the intermediate package, which is the race that he did dominate. at Las Vegas, so there is that side of things. Look, you're getting the best race car driver in the world right now at plus 140 to finish in the top 3. I think that alone is a case in of itself. So hard to argue with that one. I'm going to move over to the top 10 market, Ross Chastain. I know that Nick had brought up Chastain top 5 earlier at plus 270. If you want to go with that for the bigger number, I get it. I feel more comfortable with the top 10 number. Anybody above this is pretty well nuked down. I mean, guys like Keselowski are minus 200. You kind of look in that range, but Chastain, he's minus 150 a few places. Caesars does have him right now, minus 120. So I would get in on that before that number goes up. But look, I'm just looking off of what have you done for me lately with Ross Chastain, right? 6th place at Phoenix, 4th at Las Vegas after he had a speeding penalty and some issues. I'm not counting these super speedways because they don't count, Rod. Go back to Phoenix at the end of last season. He won the race there. He's been solid, for the past, at the end of last season into this season on the quote unquote normal racetracks. And I love to see that from a guy like this. Struggled last season at Bristol. He was 6th in stage 1. I think they ended up having a pit issue, which he's been caught speeding in 4 races this season. So that's that's a few things to not, to worry about. But I'm not too worried about that. But you go back to 2022, a 6th place finish here. We know he can get it done on this track. He has been strong. He's been solid. This is a team that just continues to show up. Travel Life, Ross Chastain literally won 5 races ago. Really, Ross Chastain won 3 races ago, Rod, because we don't count super speedways because they don't count. Like they're an anomaly. They don't count towards anything else. So if you go back over the last 3 regular races, he's been inside the top 6 in all of them with a win in one of those. Again, it's a mixture of short tracks in Phoenix where he did good both times and the intermediate package of Vegas where he was good as well. That 6th place finish in 2022 stands out. Again, last season the finish wasn't there. But I think minus 120, he's kind of the last of those elite drivers where the number's still decent to get in on him if you can get there on Chastain at minus 120 over on Caesars. So all he has to do is finish in the top 10. Like that, these are numbers that you really want to search out for because you're getting a very strong, solid driver. He doesn't have to win. He doesn't have to be in the top 3 or top 5. He just has to be in the top 10. Be the best, basically quarter of the field. It's not a crazy thing for a guy that's this good. So love Chastain, top 10 at minus 120. Erica Harper showing up. Hello, late as usual, she says.
Hi,
I want to go back and listen to it earlier in the show because there was a lot of Ty Gibbs love. But stay tuned because there's more Ty Gibbs love coming. Don't worry.
Erica's always just here for the Ty Gibbs love. She definitely has her popcorn ready.
There was some Joey Logano hate earlier too, which I know.
Oh yeah, she loves that as well. Travel Life and look, Travel Life. This is exactly what we're talking about too. Ross Chastain did literally just win 5 races ago, and I understand that, and which is why it's a more solid case for a top 10. It's so hard to love a top 5 here for him because this is still a different race than Phoenix. So
and it's top 5 is still. He's very capable of running top 5. It wouldn't shock me at all. And it's plus 270 is not a bad number. But when I can get minus 120 and all he has to do is finish in the top 10, if he goes out wins the race, fine. But you still cash the top 10 either way. So it's playing a little bit on the safer side, but you're still getting a good solid number. I think that's what's important to highlight there.
Cody playing it safe. Holy junk. That's ridiculous.
Oh, your brother's hating on Ty Gibbs? Jeez,
that's right.
what's up with that?
My brother loves to hate on Ty Gibbs. I love it. I think
you're going to have a rough next 20 years or so.
I love it. All right. So my next one is I'm venturing out into the fun markets that they did give us. Thank you very much. Books, like we said, we love you for giving us some different things to look at. Drivers to lead a lap is where I'm going. And I've got that. I have the number. It's at 6.5. But silly me, I forgot to write what it was at. So I'll
look it up while you
look it up for me. Okay. So yeah, I've got drivers to lead a lap over 6.5, and I'm only looking at the last 5 races here. Really, again, this is all kind of subject to not being on the dirt because the dirt is obviously throwing all the dirt out. So if you go back to the last several races, I know in 2023 there was only 6 drivers, so the hook would have gotten you at the end of it. But in 2022, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not making my case very strong, but you go back before that, 7 drivers led a lap in 2021. The year before that, another 7 drivers won or led a lap in that one. And then the year before that, it was another 7 drivers. So other than the last couple of seasons, this number is hit. Now, what I anticipate as well, though, because if you look back at these races too, there was 21 lead changes in that one. Granted, it was only between a handful of drivers. But when you go back through and remember that this is during the day, I still think that there's going to be a lot more strategy. I think there's still going to be a lot more difference in what you've seen over the night races in this one. So I think that's going to lend itself to having other drivers stay out. And honestly, I don't know what it is about the last last half of the season last year and maybe the beginning of this season. Stage points are just even getting bigger. Like these teams set out their strategies for stage points. So it's going to put guys in the lead that aren't in the lead normally.
1 or 2 points they've seen in the past couple of years. That's the difference in making the round of 12 or making the round of 8 or even getting into the final 4. You've got those couple of points that, that specifically the playoff points, but even just the rest of the stage points as well, for sure.
We've seen Ty Gilliland lead laps. That's the thing. Like that,
well,
that should tell you something.
Super Speedway, Rod. Calm down.
Yeah, I know. Tri-Oval Life says day or night. The bigger issue might be wet weather package that got approved in January. It's not supposed to rain in Bristol.
Yeah, it looks like Friday is going to be the day. So we should hopefully, knock on wood, because you never know with NASCAR. It looks like Sunday is going to be okay, at least as of the forecast for now. So the wet weather package did get approved here. Again, they're not going to race in the rain. They're not going to race in a big spray, basically only if it's damp. Will NASCAR be ballsy enough to even try the wet weather package at Bristol just yet in an actual race? I don't know if they would go that far, so I don't think we'll have to worry about that. That could introduce an element into this that we're not even going to try to handicap. And if it gets to that, then good luck is all I'm going to say. But I don't think we're going to see that.
Well, and so, okay, I found the number too. It's at -130 for.
Yes, I put it in the doc for you too.
Oh, did you put it in the doc? Okay, great. But I'm also going to say Bristol, Tennessee weather. And when you look at Sunday is 62 and partly cloudy with 0% chance. Okay, I'm sorry, 2% chance of precipitation around race time. So
I like your app better than Tri-Oval. Tri-Oval says 22%. We're going to go with Rod's 2%. I like that better. So, and Erica says no.
2% on there.
I like your app better.
I like my
it'll
app
probably rain anyways, but hopefully no rain because there was definitely more earlier on in the forecast. So as we get closer, looking like less of a chance, which is always ideal.
I completely agree. So, all right, Cody. Well, I guess all that is left is to crown our winners for this Food City 500. Who will be in victory lane? Cody, who actually, for you, who won't be in victory lane? I'm just going to let you
look. I know you like to clown on me having a lot of outrights, but it's playing the numbers game, right? I'm not taking the top 4 outrights and just giving them to you because that would not be great. So to set this up, there's clear-cut favorites in this one, right? Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson. Everybody's odds are varying a little bit book to book, but around the plus 500 range for these 3 guys, all as co-favorites. To your point of top 3 earlier, you're getting one of these clear-cut, favorites in the top 3 at plus 140. So it does make your case a little more. So those guys are the 3 clear-cut guys. Flip a coin on which one you like. In my opinion, it's hard to nail it down. So I didn't try to nail it down, Rod. I'm just going to skip right over them. If you want to make a case for one specific one, which you're going to do in a minute, then that's a good thing. But if you're in on one of those guys, then that's fine. But I'm going to go a little bit farther down the odds board. Make sure you're shopping around because multiple of these guys I'm going to give out have various huge ranges for where their odds are. So these were the best odds that I could find this evening as we're recording on Tuesday night at least. But Brad Keselowski, to nobody's surprise, all over Brad Keselowski. Rod, 102 race winless streak, will not get to 103. Keselowski is getting it done this week. I've been on Keselowski going to win a Bristol train since the start of the season. Everybody said it was going to be Daytona. I said it's not going to be Daytona. It's going to be Bristol. Here it comes. This is when Keselowski gets it done. Talked about Keselowski earlier. And he's just been really good at this track throughout history, really. And he's been good at this track in the next gen era. Of course, Chris Buescher also has been good at this track, as we pointed out earlier. So they've obviously got things figured out over there at RFK. Keselowski should have got it done in 2022, blew the tire. I think he gets revenge this weekend. 14-1 over on FanDuel is the best odds I'm seeing for him. I know some places he's down to 9-1. So FanDuel right now is hanging the best number at 14-1. Give me Brad Keselowski. Trialful life. Ty Gibbs, quit playing around. That's right. I would like to say, Rod, I don't know if you created a graphic before this show or not, but I did not have Ty Gibbs in here. I'm sure you're now realizing that.
Well, it's okay because to be honest with everybody, I did not get an opportunity to create a graphic today. So, and not only that, I don't have a font small enough to fit all of Cody's bets in anymore. It's just gotten ridiculous.
Yeah, especially this week. I went all out, but if the bets are there, I got to give them to you. I can't leave any good bets off the board because that'd be a disservice to you. All right, to be fully transparent, going into this show right before it, I changed it. I had Chase Elliott in here. He's 20-1. I felt like you can always make a case for Chase Elliott at 20-1, but I'm tired of making a case for Chase Elliott at 20-1. If he beats me, he beats me, Rod. I'm going with my heart here, which is weird to say because Chase Elliott technically my favorite driver. But Tyrone Gibbs. This is if Keselowski doesn't get it done, if he does a break streak, Ty Gibbs. He's 15-1 over on BetMGM. I like Ty Gibbs. This might sound weird to say. I like Ty Gibbs at 15-1, better than Chase Elliott at 20-1 because we've seen it from Ty Gibbs lately. He's got it. This kid has the mojo. We've been talking about him for a while. Uberly talented. Rod, he made his first career start in the Xfinity Series. I believe it was the Daytona Road Course. And I think I got him at 60-1, 70-1. His very first start, placed a bet on him, cashed it, won me money. Loved the kid ever since. We're going to hit him when he gets his first career win this weekend at Bristol. Talked about it earlier. Fifth place finish here last season when he was still kind of coming into his own, still kind of feeling things out. Things were up and down. I think I took Erica on a little bit of a ride here. She says, what? No Ty Gibbs. She thought I was going to go against him, but then she says, yeah, celebrates as I got him. Ty Gibbs going to be like Dale Earnhardt and Kurt Busch, win that first one at Bristol. I really can see it happening. He has started to become a popular pick with everyone else, but we've been on him the whole time. I think he's going to show up. I think he's going to be good. You can look back at the history because he's been good, but it doesn't matter what his history's been like anywhere because he's been outperforming it. Third place last week, fifth place the week before. Right if the trend holds up, fifth to third. Got to jump 2 more spots. He's going to first place this weekend. So give me Ty Gibbs. 15-1 over on MGM, I think is a great number. Rod, I feel like we've had this conversation before, but if you give me Tyler Reddick at a long number, I'm going to bet Tyler Reddick at a long number. 15-1 over on Hard Rock. A few other books had him in this range. He's 9-1 in some places. So again, a little bit of fluctuation with the books. Got to get on it. Look, Tyler Reddick, he's a guy we haven't talked about during this show just yet. But look, he's been in the mix the last couple of weeks. You know, he led 68 laps last week, ends up with a 10th place finish, not indicative of the run. Second place at Las Vegas, 5 more laps, maybe he gets it done. He's 4 for 4. Honestly, it might have been Trialful Life that shared this earlier on Facebook or so. I can't remember where I saw it. I don't remember. I didn't write down who it was, so I'm sorry for not giving proper credit. But he's 4 for 4, finishing in the top 2 in all 4 stages the last 2 weeks on the quote-unquote normal tracks. He has been up front throughout the day. So I love it. 15th place last year, 25th in 2022. So the track history, not necessarily here, but 15-1 for a guy that I've got to win the championship this year for in the 2 races has been one of the better cars of the 2 normal races we've had so far. Still all in on Tyler Reddick. 15-1. It's too big of a number. That was my case last week. Too big of a number, and he was there. He had a chance. Gave us a sweat at 18-1. So going to do it. Rod, I don't normally do this. I don't normally go this far down the board. But I thought that this was absolutely ridiculous, and I couldn't help it. The odds vary everywhere. It's a little bit different in different places. But to the disrespect I spoke of earlier on Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece is 300-1 on Superbook to win this race. Do I think that Ryan Preece is going to win this race, Rod? No, I don't. Did I think that Raja Caruth was going to win the race at Las Vegas at 70-1 when I gave him out a couple of weeks ago? No, I didn't. But to my case there, He's capable of doing it. He's in a car that can do it. If the circumstances fall correctly, Rajah Caruth can win at Las Vegas at 70-1. If you were not paying attention to the Truck Series, Rajah Caruth won and hit at 70-1. 300-1 for Ryan Preece. Would I bet him at 30-1? Absolutely not. Would I bet him 100-1? Maybe not. 300-1? Are you fucking kidding me? He's 250-1 a lot of places. Whatever. 250-1, 300-1. I like it. Ryan Preece. Roddy finished 12th there last year. That's not that far out of winning. He led 121 laps at Martinsville. The only reason he probably didn't win that race is because of the pit road penalty that sent him to the back. If he gets up front, if he plays the strategy right, he's a short track guy, right? In Bristol, it's not a short flat track like the modifieds. I get it. But why could he not do it? Did you think Chris Buescher was going to win this race in 2022? No, Rod. He was like 80-1. This is 300-1 with a guy that's capable. Look, I would like to read you people that are lower in odds than Ryan Preece. Daniel Hemrick. That's it. I'm done. Daniel Hemrick has lower odds than Ryan Preece. Are you fucking kidding? What? AJ Allmendinger, John Hunter, Austin Cindric, Corey LaJoie, Carson Hocevar, Ricky Stenhouse. Like, what? None of that makes any sense. This is clearly a misprice. And he's that far down on all the books. So it's not just one book in particular that's sleeping. Superbook has 300-1 as the best odds. But again, do I think he's going to win this race? No. Do I just give out long shits for shits and giggles? Do I give out long shots for shits and giggles? I don't give out long shits for shits and giggles either. And yes, like Travel says, worth a $5 wait. What is a $5 wager for 300-1 pay, Rod? 300.
Well, 100-1 will
it'd be $1,050 for $5. I've spent $5 in much worse places than on a bet for Ryan Preece to win this race. Again,
we've been in the military. We both have.
Is it going to happen? Is Ryan Preece going to come out and lead 450 laps and win this race? Highly unlikely. Is Ryan Preece capable of doing it in this car? Abso-fucking-lutely. He's been decent on this track. His top odds at 8-1, just amazing. Just to finish in the top 10, 300-1 to win this race. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. You've got to throw a little bit on this. Yeah. How many people were upset that they did not take my advice on Rajah Caruth and place it? Again, you're likely throwing $5 down the drain. I get it. But $1,500 if it wins, and it can happen. He should not be at 300-1. So give me some Ryan Preece, 300-1. I know I spent a lot of time on these outrights, so sorry. But Keselowski 14-1, Gibbs 15-1, Reddick 15-1, Preece 300-1. On a week where we've got three guys at 5-1, Rod, down the board, I think there's a lot of value. You can spread it out between these guys. I can easily see all four of these guys on victory lane.
You're just lucky I like
probably not all four at the same time, but one of the four in victory lane.
Yeah. You're just lucky I love your voice. That's all there is to it. Tribal Life saying you only needs to leave one. That's true. You only needs to leave the last one.
Just gotta leave the last one.
All right,
and
fine.
Hey, we end up with a big one like we got at Phoenix last week. If this ends up with gamble, we saw people have been gambling the last couple of weeks. Tires are gambling. How important was track position last week at Bristol? I mean, other than Christopher Bell, people couldn't pass. You're going to see some of that this week. Maybe they take a gamble. Maybe it doesn't matter how he wins it. It just matters that he is capable of doing it. You look at some of these other guys down the board. Is a guy like Justin Haley capable of winning this race? No, Rod. There's almost zero chance that he does it. A guy like Daniel Hemrick, is he going to win this race? No, he's not. But a guy like Ryan Preece, he could. He's going to need help. It's going to take some things to happen, like Rajah Caruth, but it's highly possible. That's why you have to bet.
And in a race where multiple drivers lead hundreds of laps at a time, there's 500 laps. It's a lot of laps to get out there and get after it. And it's a lot of laps to make up for mistakes, especially when cautions start flying and you get lap backs and you get lucky dogs. In 2021, there was 8 cautions again, and then 11 cautions in 2022, and then 6 cautions in 2023. So, there's opportunities for you to get it all back. All right, well, I'm going to be boring. And I found Denny Hamlin at plus 550. Look, Denny Hamlin won in 2023. And Denny Hamlin, look, for all that he's had trouble, right, this season, he's been at least in first place in every single race so far in this season. And he's led in every single race. In fact, last week he led 68 laps on his way to, unfortunately, an 11th place finish, but he started on the pole. Denny Hamlin's going to be fast. Denny Hamlin's going to be fast all over the place. Like I said, he won here last year after starting in second. The year before that, in 2022, a 4th place start that led to a 9th place finish. Unfortunately, a 2nd place start in 2021, another 9th place finish, but he did win in 2019. He started 5th, finished 5th in 2019 in the spring as well. He's led laps in all but one of his last 7 races here. So again, Denny Hamlin up front all the time, especially on this track in particular. He's pissed. He's not happy with the way that his season has turned out, given the fact that he's been fast just about every single race. He's been in the mixed every single race this season. Just something has happened to take him out of contention for the win. But that doesn't mean that Denny Hamlin's going to go away. We rode the Fade Hamlin train enough when we were riding it when he wasn't doing well. Unfortunately, I don't think this is a time to ride the Fade Hamlin train. I feel like this is if you fade him at your own risk, because I think he's going to blow up, and I think he's going to have himself a good race. And it starts this weekend. I think Denny Hamlin is going to figure out how to get back into victory lane. He's been fast enough to do it. He just needs the brakes. He's going to create his own brakes. Again, remember, Christopher Bell won both stages of this, right? He got up there to start the 3rd stage and didn't look back. He ended up winning the race after that. So I think it doesn't matter kind of where he starts. He's going to find his way up to the front. I think he's going to end up winning this race. And I know, it's sexy to give 301s, but sometimes 550s will pay for, a lot of things that you need to pay for. So plus 550 for Denny Hamlin, I think that's still a pretty good price, given that he won last year and he could do it again. Sometimes you see plus 200, plus 250, plus 300 for guys that have won a race recently. So I think plus 550 is a good value earlier in the week.
Yeah, hard to argue with Hamlin. Again, with these top 3 guys, call your shot. Whichever one you like the best, that's the one you can bet on. Hamlin is the favorite to win the pole, Rod. So, that he did that last week. Things didn't quite turn out as well for him as he'd hoped, but if he does get that's track position is going to be huge here if he can hold on to it. I felt like I didn't give out enough bets tonight, Rod, so I did add one more play. Brad Keselowski is still on the pole, plus 950. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to add that as an official play as well, because it's Keselowski week, I think.
You basically said, oh, he didn't have a graphic this week, I'm throwing them all in there. So, but I do have to read them back. So get out your pen and paper.
I'm going to go ahead and head to bed now.
Because I'm about to read off all of these bets. You ready for this? This is going to be another, I'll just bookmark this and you guys can come back. All right. Cody started you off in the matchup market. He gave you Ty Gibbs over Kyle Busch at minus 110. Remember that back in the day? And then he gave you Ross Chastain over Kyle Busch again at minus 110. So we're in full Kyle Busch mode, and that's for sure. I gave you Carson Hocevar as a top 10 car at 3-1. Cody came back with Brad Keselowski over Joey Logano, and Brad Keselowski is a top 5 car. So this is like a car lift that never actually became a car lift.
I should have just car lifted Keselowski in the end.
Yeah.
But I spread it out, whatever.
So yeah, Keselowski over Logano at minus 110, and then Keselowski top 5 at 2-1. I gave you Mickey D as a top 10 car at plus 195. Cody gave you AJ Allmendinger over Austin Dillon at minus 110. Also threw in AJ Allmendinger as a top 10 car at plus 550. I gave you Christopher Bell, young Bell, as a top 5 car at minus 120. Cody gave you Noah Gragson as a top 10 car at plus 275. Tossed him in as a top 4 at 16-1, and then gave you Ryan Preece as a top 10 car at 8-1. I said Kyle Larson would be a top 3 car at plus 140. Cody said Ross Chastain would be a top 10 car at minus 120. I said that more than 6.5 drivers would lead at least one lap in this race at minus 130. And then Cody gave you Brad Keselowski to complete the car lift to 14-1, Ty Gibbs at 15-1, Tyler Reddick at 15-1, Ryan Preece at 300-1 to win the race, and Brad Keselowski to take the pole at plus 950. And I wussed out and gave you Denny Hamlin at plus 550 because I like chalk, especially orange flavored chalk. That's my favorite flavor chalk.
Hey, all you got to do is hit the bets. It doesn't matter what the price is. So
that is very, very true. All right. Hey, thanks everybody for staying up late with us tonight. That was this is a late one. And for those of you who stuck it out, proud of y'all. For those of you who are listening on the traditional platform, again, sorry if you didn't get it at the normal time. We will, we had a little schedule issue. So,
Hey, we've been doing pretty good about being kind of on the same schedule, which has never been the case in the past. So I would say we'll pat ourselves on the back for that. This week, a little funky. Tomorrow's going to be funky too. So be prepared for that. We'll figure it out and get the show to you when we can. Come back tomorrow. If you've stuck around this long, Rod, hour and a half, we might be pushing the most we've ever gone on this podcast, which, sorry, I had a lot to say tonight. But come back tomorrow. Truck Series is racing, no Xfinity this week. So we'll have truck picks, got DFS, got Underdog for you later in the week. Go sign up for Underdog. Help us out. Help yourself out. Follow me on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. Find all my work over there, Rod. That's it. I'll stop talking. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're funny. My brother, directions unclear, bet the entire field. Yeah, that's about right. Might as well.
Hey, if you bet the entire field and you space it out properly and get the right numbers, it's a winning strategy. See?
It's a winning strategy. All right. Well, then, Cody, on your way out the door and on the way all of our doors, coming up on 10 o'clock here. Words are escaping me. So let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
I did that already, but at @Husker_Zeeb.
See, I was paying
Good night,
attention.
everyone.
Good night, everybody. All right. Follow me on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio to everything I got going on, whether it's here, Sportsbook Review, WrestleMania update up there right now. So make sure you're taking a look at that. We're a couple weeks away from the big show. Then, of course, my Food City 500 article for SBR is there. And then go take a look at the in-between media folks in the back road. Seth and Elliott holding it down for Bristol, baby. And I'll be back again a couple weeks from now. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Truck race odds and a lot of fun. So good night, everyone. And whenever you listen, happy day. Just make sure you're not distracted driving. We'll see you tomorrow. Till then, let's go racing and let it ride.